Greetings all, Shane Bruce, Restomod Daisy. Today we're going to do a little short video about gluing up stocks. Everything we do here at Restomod is a glue up process because we tend to buy, almost 4/4 stock. So in this particular case, we're going to take these two pieces of wood, we're going to glue them together and wind up with one thick piece of wood. The big advantage here is the fact that because there'll be a glue seam running down the center line of the stock will have reduced tendencies to split or warp. And this is good for the long haul. Now, when you're looking to bookmark, typically what you want to do is you want to take a look at both pieces of wood. It's difficult to see the curl in the untreated surfaces, but on a plank of wood, normally one side will be better than the other. So the whole thing revolves around which side you think looks best. Now, once you've made your selection, go with it, because you can spend all day trying to figure this out. In bookmarking, you'll see two styles where the grain flips out, or where the grain or the growth rings of the two pieces of wood converge. Either one will end up with a pleasant effect on the rest of the stock, and either one will work just fine. In this particular case, I've decided that these sides have the most pronounced curls, so those are the sides we want to present, which means we're going to glue the inside. Now, wood glue, lots of wood glue out there. I like to use this stuff right here, works really good. So the process is simple enough. Get your glue work down. The key is to put on enough, but you don't want too much. And you're going to spread this glue out after you get it on the wood. And squeeze out is what is referred to as excess glue that will exit from the seams of the wood involved. So apply your Titebond or whatever wood glue you're going to use. Then take a spatula, or in my case, a popsicle stick, and spread that stuff. You want to pay particular attention because you want it to make sure you've got glue present at the outside edges. And typically, in a glue up, a thin coat is better than a thick coat. I normally put on a little too much glue, but that's okay. I don't mind. I'll wipe it off later. Now, your working time with Titebond, or 2 or 1, or any of the other wood glues, once you get it on the material, you don't have all day. It's not a race against the clock. But be cognizant of the fact that once you start this, you need to be finishing it. And not like 2 hours from now. You won't get a bond at all if you do that. So spread it out, check it good. It's going to spread as soon as we clamp it. But try to get an even coat across everything and make sure that all your external seams show traces of glue before you start. Don't count on squeeze out covering any gaps that you might have. Make sure you've got some glue present. All right, so we continue to smear it around a touch. We're almost ready to start the clamping process. All right. Now, it's a good idea, if you don't do this a lot, to prep your surface that you're going to be putting the glue on. In my case, this old work table has had a ton of activity on it, and a couple of little glue dots isn't going to be a problem. But for some people, it is. Now you take your two pieces, you line them up the best you can, and then you start the clamping process. I like to set the clamps like so. One on one end, snug but not tight. Then I'll flip the work around, and one on the other end. I try to keep the heads of the clamps oriented the same so that it will stand on its own. Now, when you get to this phase is where you're going to see that you've got some shifting going on. So because we put them on loose, we can now basically stand it up like so. And then we'll continue to apply clamps and snug clamps and tweak, fiddle, and mess with it until it's where we want it to be. There's some adjustment required because you want to try to keep these things as lined up as you can before you start putting a lot of horsepower on, because they will slide around because, hey, guess what? There's a lot of glue in there. So the clamps I use are screw-on, thread-on clamps, and they will throw torque forces on that you will not find with squeeze clamps. The upside of this system is that, well, that's good, is that the rotating clamps give you a hell of a lot more pressure on the clamp itself. So you'll get quite a bit more energy on the glue with this style of clamp than you will with a squeeze clamp. Squeeze clamps just can't put the horsepower down like thumb screws can. So you check your alignment, make sure you're good in a couple spots. We will end up doing profiling the edges on the belt sander when we're done. But that essentially is the process. When you get done, wipe down your excess, unless if you're a neat freak, and then even if you're not, because it does help clean up later on. Okay, kids, that's it for glue up and clamping. This is Shane Bruce, Restomod Daisy, signing off.